This week, we're going to start a 2-week project building a forecast notifier using a service like Twilio that actually lets your project text you. Welcome to another MetPy Monday. Hello, I'm John Lehman, a software engineer for Unidata. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to start a 2-week project where we're going to look at using a service. There are several out there, but Twilio is what I'll demonstrate, that can actually have Python send you text messages or even call you and leave a voice message. This is, of course, used by many companies for notifications or two-factor authentication, but we just want to build a simple utility where we're going to use Siphon to go out and get data from the GFS, and we're going to have that text itself to us. So for example, we can put in a point forecast, and we can go get the high and low for the next 24 hours for that location, and have our script text that to us at 7 o'clock every morning. Twilio is a paid-for service, but they do have a trial, so you can sign up and get a free trial account, which gives you around $15 at the time of this recording in credit. And their pricing is actually pretty reasonable. It's about $1 a month for a number, and then 7.5 of a cent per text message. So you can build a pretty nice little system to text yourself for not that much money. And this doesn't have to be used for forecasts, of course. It could be used for just about anything that you can imagine. So go ahead and sign into your account in your dashboard. And I've already got some projects in my account, but you're going to go up to View and Create Projects menu here and click Create a New Project. And in the project name, I'm going to call mine Forecast Notifier. Then it's going to ask you for a phone number that it will send you a verification code at. So go ahead and put in your phone number. And once you receive the verification code, enter it into the box. Now they're going to ask you some questions like, do you write code and what's your preferred language? And with this, they can guide you to some instructions on how to get started, or we can just say skip to dashboard. Okay, so once you're at your dashboard, you'll have an account SID and an authentication token that we're going to need to put into our script. Now, of course, these are security issues that you don't want to store those in plain text in your script. For testing, we're going to do that, but really you'd probably want to set them as an environment variable and have Python read that environment variable if you're going to deploy this on a server or really anything more than just playing around. It's also something you want to make sure you don't commit to a Git repository. That's often a security vulnerability, is that keys are accidentally committed to Git and remain in the Git history. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open up your favorite code editor and start writing some Python. All right, so I'm going to create the file forecastnotifier.py, and we'll work on this file this week and next week. The first thing that we need to do is to import the Twilio client object. And after we go ahead and write our script, we'll make sure that we have that library installed. So from twilio.rest, I'm going to import client. Now we need to store our account ID, and we need to store the authentication token. Again, this is not the most secure practice. You're going to want to use an environment variable. And they actually have some documentation showing you how to do that on twil.io/secure. And it's operating system and programming language dependent how you do this, but they have some nice examples there. Next, we need to make an instance of this client object that we can use to create our message. So we're going to pass that our account ID and the authentication token. Okay, so let's create a message body, and we'll fill in this with actual data next week. But for now, I just want to know what the maximum and minimum temperature over the next 24 hours are. And if it's going to be below freezing, I want a warning about that. So my message text is going to say something like 24-hour GFS max T. I'm actually going to use single quotes here and make this an F string. Is going to be max temp. Min T is going to be min temp. All right, and let's do that in degrees Fahrenheit. And then we want to add on to that message if it's going to be below or equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit that we have a potential freezing hazard. So it's going to say if min temp is less than or equal to 32, we're going to add on to our message text freeze hazard. And we're going to want to put a space in front of that, so there will be a space after degf there. Now we're going to need to actually send a message to ourselves. So from the client object instance that we've got, in messages, there is a create method. We specify the body, which is going to be message text. We're going to specify from underscore, which with your Twilio account, you'll be able to get a free number. And in fact, if it does not automatically allocate one for you, there will be a button on the console to get that free number. I'm going to call that my from number. And then a to is going to be to number. We're going to print out the ID of that message once it's sent. So now we're pretty close to being ready to send the message. We just need to fill in some details here. So our from number, in this case, I'm going to put in the number that was issued to me. We're going to use a +1 and then the number that Twilio issues you, of course, depending on your country. The to number is the phone number of the device that you would like to send this notification to. In this case, I'm going to use my phone number. And finally, we're going to replace this with data, but we need to specify a max temperature and a min temperature so that those variables are defined and our script will work. So I'm going to say the max temperature is 95 and the min temperature is 73. If you don't already have the Twilio library installed, which you likely don't unless you've been experimenting with it before, you can install it with the command conda install-c conda-forge Twilio. Of course, it's available through pip and other places as well, but I generally prefer to manage things through the conda package manager. Okay, so now we're ready to try this out. So we're going to run our forecastnotifier.py script. We see a confirmation pop up there of the message ID. And on my phone, I just received a text message. So that looks like that does exactly what we want. Now we're going to go modify the min temp to be 32 degrees, which should tell us that we have a freezing hazard. I'm going to run it again, and the message I just received on my phone does indeed say that we have a freezing hazard. So we've learned how to use the basics of the Twilio client to send ourselves messages. Now we just need to combine it with what we know about getting weather data from a thread server using Siphon, and we'll have our forecast notifier running in no time. I hope that you found this useful, and I'll see you on next week's MetPy Monday.